The website I'm going to be using for my references is Reddit. It's going to be redditp.com/r/faces. This is a different form of Reddit where I can have images pop up randomly, and I can set a timer for how long they're on the screen for. So for my routine warm-up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill the page with faces for 30 seconds each. So every 30 seconds, the face will disappear. So I have to fit as much of the likeness of the face as I can in that one drawing. Since I have such little time, I'm going to start off a lot sloppier. All I'm trying to do is capture the likeness too. I'm not going for 100% realism here. I don't know if that's really possible in the amount of time that I've set for myself. But it's just a way to warm up my hand regardless, so it doesn't really matter what it looks like, I'm just having fun moving the pencil around. If you notice, I know my hand's moving fast, but my wrist is barely moving. A lot of the motion that I'm using right now is in my shoulder and elbow. I use my shoulder and elbow only when I'm trying to get basic lines and shapes down. Anytime I want to add detail or something really close together or fine and I have to be really sensitive for it, that's when I'll use my fingers and my wrist a lot. So like when I'm doing the eyes, the lips, the nose, the normal dark points of a portrait, that's when I'll start to use my wrist and fingers more. Anytime I go for a straight line or a circle, that's mainly done from my shoulder. I've been listening to this really good art podcast lately. It's called Art Holes. You can find it on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and some other places too, I'm sure. It's a very good podcast. If you're not into art history, then you don't really have to be for this podcast because it's just so well done and so entertaining that it can pretty much keep anybody in. He only does stories on really interesting artists who have had a colorful past. I just listened to an 8-episode series on Caravaggio, an artist that I absolutely love and have loved for a while now, and very inspiring for most of Western art today. He stabbed a dude and then basically ran away for most of his life trying to get back to Rome. It's a very interesting story, so I definitely suggest you go listen to that. It'll kind of give you a scope on the time period that I'm trying to portray in my drawings today. I've had that 16th century Renaissance crave lately. So I chose some modern day references that are going to kind of give off the same feel that I want, as in some Caravaggio paintings. Here's a Caravaggio painting up on the screen now. There's also some other ones that I threw up there that have the same kind of feel for what I'm going with today, but those are not Caravaggio paintings. Caravaggio had that intense light. But if you want to go learn more, again, listen to that podcast because it's so good. I listened to a lot of it during this drawing session. And in no way am I sponsored by that podcast, but I just want to support because it's such a good podcast. This second sketch that I'm doing here is of some just random girl, I don't know who it is, just doing some homework, it looks like, on her dining room table. It gave that same Renaissance feel too, but after I started drawing it, it made me think of the Helga pictures done by Andrew Wyeth, another great artist. I have one of Andrew Wyeth's books that my pappy gave me, and that's how I found out about the Helga pictures, and it kind of sparked my interest in figure drawing a lot. The way that the head is facing is just very similar to a lot of the Helga pictures. And the amount of cloth and heavy feel that it has to that fabric, that also reminds me of it too. So I just thought it was interesting, but the main reason I chose this reference is because of the heaviness of that fabric and just how many folds and cool lines there were in it. Here are some Andrew Wyeth drawings, some of the Helga pictures, some of his most famous ones that I'm sure you'll recognize. Here's one of Helga laying down on a bed with the same kind of lace window feeling that he had in his other paintings. He's very good at making that lace seem so translucent but also have so much movement. And then you're also able to fit a figure behind that. It blows my mind. That's so good. You have to have such a high level of skill to be able to pull something like that off. So here I'm shading pretty much where I want. The main focal points are going to be usually the darkest. I wish I would have done it a little bit differently on this one, but I wasn't thinking about that. I think it was almost 2 a.m. But I'm just having fun with it. I'm just shading kind of where I want the eyes to move around and stuff, but the faces are usually the focal point in most drawings, especially mine. So I'm adding the most detail there, and then everywhere else is kind of just abstract lines and shapes, just to show, kind of let your mind fill in the blanks of what they are. But they're not super abstract, but I mean, you could tell I'm drawing the mirror with the rooms in the back and the staircase going up now. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe and share. That would help out a ton. You can also go follow me on Instagram and TikTok. All my information is in the description below.